Hi. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the Chinese acupuncture meridians. And the meridians are invisible channels which circulate qi or life force energy or subtle energy throughout the body. Many people have heard of the meridians, especially in relationship to acupuncture and Chinese medicine. But unlike the chakras, which are energy vortexes that allow for the free flow of subtle energy from outside the world into our subtle bodies, the meridians transport this vital life force substance within the body. So tonight on Thursday Night Live, we'll be discussing the Chinese acupuncture meridians and how they associate with our health of the physical and emotional bodies. Hello and welcome to Thursday Night Live. I'm your host, Dr. Rita Louise, and thank you all for tuning into the show today. And so tonight, again, we're going to be talking about the meridians. And so the meridians are a series of invisible passageways that travel through the body and connect to our different organs. And so, all right, I lost my spot already. And so in addition to physical health, the Chinese meridians can help us get a clear understanding of emotional concerns that underlie the manifestation of disease in the body. Each organ is associated with a specific emotional state within our being. And so when I'm doing a medical intuitive evaluation on someone and I am evaluating their liver, I really rely on the prompts and the insights of the meridians for assessing the health of an organ. And so there are 12 acupuncture meridians that run through the body, but we're not going to cover all of those. We're going to be covering the ones that are tied to specific organs within the body. And so the first one we're going to talk about is the heart meridian. So obviously, on physical levels, the heart is responsible for the moving and regulating the flow of blood through the body and is the basis of all life. Energetically speaking, however, the heart meridian is the supreme controller of the body. Its job is to provide a directing influence and clear insights to the organs. The heart meridian affects all the organs and is affected by them, especially on emotional and spiritual levels. Emotions that affect the heart meridian include overexcitement and shock, especially in situations where the spirit is distressed, death, the ending of a relationship, betrayal, or other emotionally stressful events can have a profound impact on the heart. The heart, in light of extreme events, can be broken, causing the individual to experience a heaviness in the heart and chest. The condition is impossible to diagnose with traditional medical tests since it's a physical manifestation of a disease and not an emotional manifestation of the meridian issue. The heart's affected by emotions from other organs, including grief, fear, anger, and over-concern. So how do we know or how do we experience the heart meridian? So when the heart meridian is balanced, it manifests as individuality, responding appropriately to the environment, tranquility, gentleness, emotional balance, love, integrity, optimism, wisdom, and zest for life. On a physical level, if there's an imbalance going on in the heart meridian, it can manifest as heart palpitations, anxiety, mumbling to oneself, dizziness, fainting spells, shortness of breath, or lack of vitality. Now, one of the things that happens is that once something manifests into the physical body, what that is saying is that this situation has existed on emotional levels for a much longer time, or the trauma that we experienced has been so overwhelming that it broke through right into the physical realm. And so I always like talking about the emotional impact or the emotional vulnerabilities of the different meridians, because if we detect this emotional state within ourselves, we might be able to go, oh, I'm having an issue with this meridian. And so if there's an imbalance in the heart meridian, it can show up as excessive sadness, incessant laughter, excessive dreaming, irrational behaviors, hysteria, joylessness, apathy, a dull state of being, emotional distress, confusion, feeling out of control, and even manic behaviors. The next meridian I'm going to talk about is the pericardium. So the pericardium is the sac that sits around the heart that encloses it and lubricates it. It allows the heart to beat inside of our chest without friction. The pericardium's job is to protect the heart from injury and radical fluctuations in energy caused by the up and downs of our emotions. Another function of the pericardium is to open and close the heart, where it protects us emotionally. So this barrier, this functional barrier, also protects us emotionally and can help us be resilient to the stresses of daily lives. The pericardium, more than the heart, is affected by trauma and can be likened to the scar tissue that forms on a wound. It can become tough and inflexible, making it hard for us to open ourselves to positive emotions or to the flow of energy into the heart and heart meridian. So how do we experience issues of the pericardium, or how do we experience the pericardium? So when it's balanced, we experience joy, love, happiness, contentment, warmth, intimacy, and concern in our relationships. When the pericardium is imbalanced on a physical level, we can experience heart pain, chest discomfort, palpitations, angina, or an oppressive feeling in the chest. From an emotional point of view, emotional imbalances of the pericardium meridian can manifest as sadness, sorrow, grief, coldness, lack of concern, a cackling laughter, abnormal emotional responses, hypersensitivity, and selfishness. I mean, if you think about it, selfishness is you're protecting the heart. The next meridian I would like to discuss is the liver meridian. And so, the liver is responsible for cleansing our blood and detoxifying the body and nourishing and replenishing our blood. And it's considered the primary center of metabolism. Energetically speaking, the liver is responsible for maintaining and the smooth movement of our energy through the body. The liver works in conjunction with the gallbladder. If the plants that were derived, all right, I'm going to skip that part. Anyway, so how we experience the liver meridian. When the liver meridian is balanced, we are kind, benevolent, compassionate, and generous. It also supports our drive, planning, endurance, perseverance, clear intellect, ambition, patience, and organizational abilities. When it's imbalanced on a physical level, it manifests as dry, painful eyes with blurred or weak vision, lack of suppleness or pain in our joints, dry skin, dizziness, infrequent or spotty menstruation, restlessness, headaches, vertigo, having a red face or eyes, and a parched mouth. Emotionally, it can manifest as depression, anger, impatience, hatred, jealousy, or an attachment to a strong opinion. People that have liver emotional imbalances can also be power hungry, overambitious, controlling, irritable, resentful, frustrated, or filled with rage. And so I'm sure everyone knows somebody that has a liver imbalance. So tied to the liver is the gallbladder. The liver and gallbladder are closely linked physically. Not surprisingly, they're linked psychologically as well. The function of the gallbladder is to store the bile produced by the liver and release it into the small intestine when needed to aid digestion, especially of any kind of fatty foods we might eat. Combined, the liver meridian plans actions, and the gallbladder decides what to do and then executes the plan. Sometimes deficiencies of the gallbladder meridian can result because we're afraid to make a decision or feel overburdened or that our choices are not right. For others, they make decisions, formulate plans, but something intervenes, keeping them from carrying it out. This energy can get backed up into the liver and frustration results. Irritability is an indication of disharmony in either the gallbladder or the liver, and anger affects them both. Figuratively speaking, gallstones can be an indicator of a plan that's gone by the wayside. Instead of manifesting into the world, they stagnate and they form into stones. So how can we experience the gallbladder meridian? When the gallbladder meridian is balanced, individuals display courage, decisive action, bravery, and ability to act, and good decision-making abilities. Physical imbalances include digestion issues, especially when eating fatty foods, and problems with menstruation. Headaches, neck and shoulder tension, and aching knees are also a sign of dysfunction. Emotionally, it appears as making hasty decisions or being easily angered, especially if liver issues are present. Control issues, irritability, rage, and bitterness, again, kind of tied to that liver. On the flip side, and that's especially if you have a plan and you can't move forward with the plan. On the flip side, indecision, timidity, procrastination, confusion, poor judgment, lack of courage to assert oneself, or resentment can appear. So that's more you don't make the plan or you're too afraid to follow through on the plan. The next meridian is the stomach meridian. And the stomach meridian is responsible for transforming and digesting foods we eat by mixing and breaking them down, and so that they can pass on to the small intestine for further digestion. The stomach meridian is associated with our ability to assimilate new ideas, absorb information, as well as honoring and nurturing ourselves. Side note, and for some, the energy we receive from the world around us is so intense or so undesirable to the body that it just wants to come up and back out. So in addition to stomach issues, people who have blockages to the stomach meridian may experience headaches, especially in the front of the head, or have sinus problems. So how do we experience the stomach meridian? When the stomach meridian is balanced and emotions are encountered, the person tends to feel in harmony with the earth. They have a sense of trust, considerate thoughts and actions, and good concentration. Physical issues of the stomach meridian include a knotted feeling or gnawing sensation in the stomach, inhibited digestion, ulcers, gastritis, excessive or deficient stomach acid, indigestion, belching, bowel issues, lack of vitality, weight problems, appetite disorders, headaches, sinus issues, and ovarian and uterine problems. Emotionally, the stomach is very easily affected by stress. In addition to manifesting physical concerns, individuals can also experience anxiety, worry, skepticism, suspiciousness, distrust, desire to avoid others, reclusiveness, energy depletion, and an inability to stomach it. Next, the spleen meridian. The spleen meridian is, well, actually, when we're talking about the spleen meridian, we're referring not to the spleen only, but the pancreas as well. And together they form a functional whole. Physically, the spleen works to directly with our circulatory system, where it functions in the destruction of old red blood cells and the removal of other debris from the bloodstream. The pancreas, on the other hand, produces insulin so that the body can use glucose for it, which is the enzyme which the body needs to digest. And so if you have diabetes, it means that there's an issue with the pancreas. Energetically speaking, the spleen meridian houses our thoughts, ideas, and intentions, where we are able to synthesize and integrate them into our system. It supports our ability to transmit our thoughts and ideas or retrieve them from memory. It allows us to have analytical thinking and concentration. It's also associated, and this is a very important one, with our ability to give and receive, and imbalances in this meridian can cause us not to experience the sweetness of life. So how do we experience the spleen meridian? When the spleen meridian is balanced, we experience empathy, sympathy, trust, honesty, openness, acceptance. We're able to concentrate and have good reasoning, clear thoughts, and good introspection. When our spleen meridian is affected physically, we can have poor circulation, heavy feelings in our limbs, cold extremities. We can have fatigue, anorexia, and menstrual disturbances. Emotionally, it manifests as thoughts that go round and round over the same ground of worrying and thinking too much, having unnecessary thoughts, preoccupations, obsessions, compulsive behaviors, and lack of concentration. So the next meridian, the small intestine meridian, and so the small intestine is responsible for the absorption of nutrition from the food we eat. Not surprisingly, the small intestine meridian is also associated with our ability to identify our needs and allows us to open up to receiving. So in a balanced small intestine meridian, we experience mental clarity, discernment, and the ability to distinguish relevant issues with clarity. A physical imbalance of the small intestine can manifest as dry feces or excessive urination, diarrhea or little urination, abdominal pain, intestinal rumblings, digestive problems, or healing difficulties. Okay. Emotionally, we can have excessive judgment or end up feeling unsure about our ability to evaluate things. It can manifest as a rejection of possibilities or indiscriminate acceptance, an inability to commit to a course of action, or an inability to nurture ourselves. This might leave us naive or gullible. Next meridian is the large intestine meridian. So the large intestine is responsible for transporting waste from the body. And so it is said in Chinese medicine that by letting go of the old, we can make room for new energies and ideas that enters into our being. This allows us to open ourselves up to growth. This ability to transform ourselves makes the large intestine meridian the meridian responsible for the evolution of the self. So when it's balanced, we have compassion, good survival instincts, individuality, a positive outlook, and endurance. When it's imbalanced, we can have constipation or diarrhea or low bowel pain, colitis, IBS, intestinal gas, greasy skin, or an impaired sense of smell, which is very interesting. Emotionally, we can experience it as resentment, worry, anguish, inflexibility of the body and mind, pessimism, stubbornness, holding on, like not letting it go, regret, and an inability to forgive, even bitterness and cynicism. Okay, just a few more. The next meridian is the kidney meridian. And the kidney's job is to transform the fluids in the body and separating the pure from the waste and passing that fluid on to the bladder for elimination. And so tied to the kidney meridians, or tied to the kidneys, are the adrenal glands. And so imbalances to the kidney meridian can cause chronic stress and adrenal fatigue, because the adrenal glands sit on top of the kidneys, so they're one unit. And so if there's an imbalance in the kidney meridian, you can have chronic stress and adrenal fatigue. And this can be brought about because we're running too much energy through the kidney meridian. And so how we experience the kidney meridian, when it's balanced, we can experience restraint, wisdom, rational perceptions, an ability to concentrate, determination, courage, confidence, a sense of security and well-being. We can have good organizational skills. Physically, when they're imbalanced, we can have an excessive or deficient fluid in the body. We can have dark, scanty urine. It can cause constipation because we're dehydrated, a dry mouth, not sweat, clear, abundant urine, edema, diarrhea, soft, brittle bones, or poor teeth. Ugh. Emotionally, however, it is experienced as fear. It's experienced as hesitancy. It's experienced as poor willpower. Many times people with a kidney meridian issue will have guilt. They'll tend to run away from situations rather than facing them. They'll have fear in undertaking anything because they feel like they may be a failure. It may also manifest an inferiority complex, restlessness, excessive drive, difficulty relaxing, or always looking for new challenges. So as I've talked about these, I'm talking about either side of the coin. You can have too much or too little. Okay, the next meridian is the bladder meridian. And so the bladder's job is to regulate fluids by receiving, storing, and eliminating urine from the body. Again, it works with the bladder. And for many, fear is the prominent emotion associated with this meridian. This fear drives and activates the kidney meridian, causing them to become imbalanced as well, because the kidney and bladder work hand in hand. So when it's balanced, the person might be seen as cautious. They might have restraint and determination, willpower, and ambitious. When they have physical imbalance, it might manifest as back tension or back pain, especially around the kidneys, sciatica, painful knees, incontinence, bedwetting, or other issues involving fluid movement in the body. Emotionally, the person may lack confidence or nervousness. They might feel strained or be hypersensitive. They might feel overwhelmed or internally empty. They might not be able to stand up for themselves, or will do so at any cost. They may suppress their emotions, feel as if life's too much to handle, or be frightened, leaving them in a survival state. And our last meridian is the lung meridian. And so the lungs are responsible for gas exchange. We all know about that. And so the lung meridian works under the control of the heart meridian, and it provides us with a sense of inspiration and meaning in our lives. It transforms the energies of the soul, giving us the ability to create sharp, clear feelings. So when it's balanced, We have compassion, good instincts, intuition, very especially on like a heart level, heart chest level, free will, a positive outlook toward life, and a sense of purpose. When it's imbalanced functionally, we can have asthma, emphysema, a cough, congestion, sore throat, bronchitis, blah, blah, blah. But the lungs are also associated with the regulation of fluid in the body. Thus, imbalances can appear as edema, perspiration issues, or excessive phlegm. Excessive phlegm. Emotionally, it can be experienced as difficult separating the I and the not I. Grief, repressed sorrow, depression, feeling weighed down, feelings of emptiness, crying, tiredness, boredom, pessimism, apathy, blah, blah, blah. It can also manifest as an inability to feel fulfilled or a state of being cut off from new ideas, people, and life. And so there are a couple more meridians that I haven't covered because I just really wanted to talk about the ones that are physical and functional. And so if you have an imbalance and would like to get some insight into what's going on a deeper level, or what you can do to resolve an issue that's coming up, you know, or an emotional issue that is tied and associated to that, and understand like the core of it for yourself, reach out to me and we can set up time for a private consultation, because I have to tell you, that is one of my best things. Oh, well, I'm feeling congestion in my chest, and I'm not talking like allergy, like I feel a heaviness, and I can like dig down into them emotions and be like, wow, when you were 6, blah, blah, blah. That's my favorite thing, and I'm actually very, very good at it. Anyway, guys, so that's the emotions. There's like 500 million comments in the chat room. But before I do that, I just want to remind you of our new format. And let me do this too. Edit. There we go. And so if you go to soulhealer.com/live, there are a number of different things you can do. So if there's a lot of people in the chat room and you're worried that you are not going to get your reading, or you need to go and you want to hear your reading live on air, you can go to soulhealer.com/live and jump the line. And once that chime comes in, you will be the next person in the row. You can also ask me a specific question. So, you know, normally I just do general readings for everyone, but if there's something going on in your life and you want to get a much more specific response to a situation or issue, soulhealer.com/live, click the Ask Dr. Rita Louise link. And while you're there, you can always leave a tip, because, you know, I like a little something, something every now and then. And I'm going to put that up, and I'm going to remove that and put me back on the stage. There I am. Okay. All right. So let's see, what do we got going on? So ERRT Radio, you're number 1. And he says, happy Thursday, Dr. Rita. I hope you're doing well. Your hair looks amazing. I have a reading number 3, please. Thank you. You say sure can, ERRT Radio. Oh, and then his next comment, I'm just going to come down here. He says, I'm only 19 minutes early for your start time. I love you, ERRT Radio, and I appreciate that you come early, and the other people that come early to get to the front of the line. Okay, so let's see what you got going on. Okay, so that's your card for today. So ERRT Radio, I feel like there's something, and I'm just going to use kind of this generic term that's bothering you. I don't feel like it's a physical thing. I feel like it's more of an emotional thing. And you're not, I feel like there's confusion that you're not quite sure what to do about it or how to handle the situation in this moment. And I've talked about this before, maybe it's time to put this person or this situation into purgatory so that you can emotionally take a step back and decide what you want to do about it, and pull your emotional energy out of it and ego out of it and just put them in observation mode so you can have a more detached look at what's going on. Because I feel like that will help you in your decision-making process or in your meditation, because I feel like you don't want to hurt anybody, but I feel like you also don't want to, you're not liking what's going on. So I feel like this will give you the room and the space that you can make a good and equitable decision about how to move forward. So cool. All right, let's see. And we got Ohura, and she says, hi, everybody. That is interesting when you compliment on her hair before. So she says, this is interesting when you compliment her on her hair even before seeing her. That's because ERRT Radio has psychic abilities, and he can see my hair before I even do. That's funny. Okay. So then Ohura back and says, hello, everyone. Oh, wait, I already looked at that. Okay. All right, you guys are doing all caps again. Okay, and Unar's here. Hi, Unar. And she says, good evening, Dr. Rita and friends. May I have a 2, please? You sure can, Unar. So I have to tell you, the cat's in the house, which means the dog kind of goes a little psycho. So they're chasing each other around right now. So hopefully they won't bark. Okay, that's your card for today. So Unar, I feel like you are in a releasing process right now. I feel like you are looking for the calm, still waters within yourself. I get the impression that there was something that happened, not today, but recently, that has upset you, and you are in the process of discharging it. And I feel like as part of this kind of reflective, introspective place that you're at, you are looking at, kind of like ERRT Radio, a different way of addressing things or looking at things. And so even though that kind of was a sucky situation, I feel like you are learning the lesson from it and will take that forward with you. So, sometimes crap makes us a better person after it's done. So it's all okay. All right. All right. And Yvonne's here. And she says, hi, Dr. Rita. Hi, everyone. You look wonderful today. Thank you, Yvonne. Can I get a reading, please? Number 3. You sure can, Yvonne. Okay, and that's your card for today. So Yvonne, I feel like you're in a really good space today. I feel like, so I'm not sure if I want to call it like an aha moment, but kind of an aha moment. I feel like you have kind of gotten like a wide view of what's going on or what's going on in your life. It's really hard for me to like really be more specific about that, but I feel like there's increased perspective on a situation, but it feels really good. I feel like this increased view has given you clarity on something that you've been working on and insights into, oh, that's what I need to do. Like, so that you can take what you wanted and move that forward in a more directive way versus, kind of stumbling around. I think we've all been kind of stumbling around quite a bit. And so I feel like, again, this bigger insight is offering you more specific direction. And I know this is something you've been kind of praying for. So good. Yay. Okay, let's see. Yvonne says, ooh, I love acupuncture. So do I. Not that I've ever had it done, but I love how, and there are very few books on it, but how there are some authors that tie our emotional experience to the organs. And I will have to tell you that the material that I have seen about it have been spot on. Because I've just used it as kind of a guide, but especially when starting off doing this work, and especially incorporating meridian work and energetic acupuncture clearings into my work. But it has been spot on every time. All right, and Amy's here. Hi, Amy. Happy Thursday. May I have a number 2 reading? You sure can, Amy. Okay, and that's your card for today. So, Amy, I feel like you have turned your creative energy back on, or your creative juices have activated again. So it's hard for me to differentiate whether that, well, no, I'm going to differentiate. I feel like the things that you've been thinking about and kind of playing around with in your mind, you are starting to move them more into the physical and functional. So I feel like you are starting to take action on these things that you have been, I'll say, meditating on and contemplating on, because I feel like work has begun. But I'm feeling like this is like planned and decisive work, and information that is coming from your heart and from your soul, and not from the, oh, but I need to be doing something energy. So very cool. All right, we got Don. Hey, Don. He says, hi, Dr. Rita, I'm here again. Again. Well, not well. Okay, I'm not understanding you, Don, but I'll just keep going. Anyway, could I get a reading number 1? Thank you. You sure can, Don. Uh-oh. Tom, what is with you lately? Ooh, I pulled a card, not a good card. Another not good card, in my opinion. I mean, actually, these cards can actually turn up to be something really good. Okay, I am going to go with that card as your clearing card. So you had this many behind your mask card. But actually, I kind of want to look at these because I feel like there's some information. So, Don, and I'm going to be very specific with you tonight. So, your homework, if you decide to accept it, is to, I'm going to say look at your emotions, look at where your mental space is, your emotional space is, not from a judgment place, but for how much you beat yourself up for being there. I mean, you're human. And I feel like when you get into this judgment-y place about yourself and about where you are at any particular moment, that just takes you down even further. And if you can just accept, it's like, oh, I got bad brain today. What can I do about it? That it is going to help move you toward resolving it, move you toward being able to emotionally regulate with an issue going on around you and not have it take you down to the deep, dark rabbit hole. Even though I get the feeling you haven't been in the deep, dark rabbit hole in quite a while. And so this is like the next level up. This is the next level task, is to pay attention and just acknowledge that I'm not in a good place, and have that be okay. And maybe nurture yourself more. Take yourself to Starbucks. That's always my favorite. And give to yourself a little so that you can ride the storm out. Because sometimes once you acknowledge that you're in a bad place and that you have bad brain, it works to resolve the bad brain all by itself. All right, Christine is in here. Hey, Christine. And she says, may I have a reading number 2, please? Thank you. You sure can, Christine. All right, and that's your card for today. So, Christine, I get the impression that there is something new that has been presented to you. I feel like it is the beginning or onset of a new journey. I feel like this idea has been, kind of inspired to you. I feel like you are just like in the beginning of taking off on this path. So there's not a whole lot of history behind it. I feel like you're through the thought part and moving now into the actual doing something about it. As I said to Amy, the manifestation of it. All right, ERT rating. I'm taking the bait. So he says, I have a malfunctioning heart, not sure if it is broken. So, if it's not working, it's probably a little bit broken. But there are other things, because the heart takes in energy from everywhere. Plus there's the physiological, we don't eat right, we drink too much, whatever, that can impact the heart. But ERRT radio, and they're telling me like when you were 27, your heart was broken. And that's where it kind of started from. So please let me know if like 27 resonates with you. Terrence, hey Terrence, how are you? Nice to see you tonight. Okay, so there's too many like straight lines, so I'm just going to go with Lily. So hopefully it's Lily. And you sure can have a reading number 2, and lovely to see you as well. So Lily, that's your card for today. So Lily, the first thing that I'm noticing about your energy is kind of this, I'm going to say, lump in your stomach. I get the impression that there are things going on around you that you are not liking and is in conflict with who you are and what you are all about. I get the impression that this situation is fairly temporary. Okay, so when I kind of go back in history to see if this has been like a long ongoing thing, and I feel like it has not, it has presented fairly recently. You know, and I don't predict the future, but I don't get the impression that it is going to extend all that much further. You know, and I get the feeling that you're trying to decide what to do with this. Do I just need to like suck it up, which is like your normal thing, is to just sit there and ride it out? Or is this something that I need to say something about? And so if my commentary is, you know, well, okay, there's 2 pieces. So if your pattern, personal pattern, is to just suck it up and try to survive this energy, then the learning part for you would be for you to say something about it, or maybe create a boundary, or make some commentary, or exit the situation to take care of yourself and help reduce some of that stressful energy that you're experiencing. You know, or the other option is that you can just let it ride and hope it plays out soon. So, but I think it would be a good experience for you and put you into a different place. You know, we can't have boundaries and we can't feel safe sticking up for ourselves unless we make that communication. And a lot of times we're just really scared. And so maybe this would be a good opportunity for you to work with that 3rd chakra and work with your willpower and allow that discomfort to come up and out, and stomach meridian, have it come up and out, not as vomit, but as words. Okay. All right, let's see. All right, so Unar has a question, and she says, Dr. Rita, does grief damage the heart? Such an interesting topic. I found my research into the whole meridian thing. I mean, there's the functional part, which, but the emotional connections, I was just all over that. So grief normally sits in the lungs, you know, so when we feel, you know, like when someone passes away, you know, or a friend leaves or something like that, we feel it in the chest, but it's usually more located in the lungs. But there is a very strong and direct relationship between the lungs and the heart. And so could it damage the heart? It could, you know, especially if it's very long-term grief. But usually it sits in the lungs. That's the primary location. Anita, hi, Anita. Oh, it is so nice seeing you. I bought me a t-shirt the other day, a Soul Expression t-shirt, black, long sleeved. I am so excited to get it. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Chris, I sent my taxes today. I know you're so proud of me. Wow, you guys are going to make me cry. It's been such a long week. It is so nice to see your faces in here. Oh my God. Okay. Okay. Okay, done. Let's see. All right, we got some capital. Horace says, hello, dear Dr. Rita. Wow, thanks for the awesome, unique, amazing talk. That is awesome to see you. May I have your wisdom and revelations on a number 3, please? Thank you very much. Blessings and cheers. You sure can, Ohora. We're doing a 3. A 3. So if these readings are resonating with you, obviously I would love the feedback. And, and if you want to go to soulhealer.com/live and leave a little something in the tip jar, I will love you even more than I already love you, but maybe more. Okay, so Ohora, that's your card for today. So Ohora, when I sit there and I look at your energy, the first thing that came up is you're so tired of the BS. I feel like you just keep putting energy out and wasting time and just getting nowhere. And I sense, I'm going to say frustration in your space, but I feel like the frustration is directly related to you using your energy to move you forward and trying to get somewhere and constantly like being slowed down or stopped. And it's just annoying and frustrating. And so what I just said, going back to our conversation earlier, is that you are activating your gallbladder meridian. You are planning and trying to move that forward because that's the gallbladder meridian. But because it's not moving forward, it's backing up into your liver and leaving you feeling kind of frustrated. Not that I'm saying that those organs are damaged, but that is the emotional impact. And if you're getting really mad, yeah, there might be some imbalances going on. I think that is a normal thing for all of us. But if it goes over the top, then there's an imbalance going on. Wow, Angie. Hi, Angie. Oh my God, it's so nice to see you. Well, we're getting everybody. And Bradley. Hey, Bradley. And then ERRT Radio says, interesting, and thank you for the reading. You're so welcome. And then Yvonne says, yes, 100%. Insights and clarity, feeling much better. Great, Yvonne. I know that you've been struggling for a while, trying to figure out what to do. So I'm so glad that you got that. And then Amy says, thank you for the spot on reading, working on the fun plan that I was waiting to do this winter. I fear winter has to be good for something. Heading to the tip jar. Thank you. See, Amy is going to Soul Healer/live, and she's leaving me a little something in that tip jar. Just saying. You don't want to leave Amy all alone at the tip jar. Thanks, Amy. Love you. And then Dawn says, yes, thank you. I've been down on myself for things in my past a lot lately. And Dawn, I'm just saying, if your past is your past and you can't change it and you can't fix it. And so just have it be your past and have it be sucky and just accept the fact that it was sucky, but you don't have to sit there and beat yourself up for something that you obviously can't change. Christine says, makes sense. Thank you. You're so welcome. Where are we? All right. So Crow's Nest. So I only do a general reading. Same thing with you with Burton Bros. You've got in here just in the nick of time. I'm just going to pull a card and see what comes up for you. All right, you're going to get a 2 because we only go to 3. But you're getting a 2, Crow's Nest, sorry. All right, and that's your card for today. So crow's nest, very interesting. So I feel like there's a lot of reorganization going on in your space. Whether you are decluttering your house or decluttering the inside of yourself, I feel like you're like working on plans and organizing and making your life be more systemic. Yeah, whatever. I get the impression that you were in a situation, and I don't really feel like this is you, that you were in a situation where it was just kind of chaos and you moved out of that situation. And now you're able to have your energy for yourself and are able to own that for yourself. And you are refining your, who you are. And this is what I want. And finding yourself. I mean, I think that's the best way of saying it, that you're finding yourself again, having left that chaos behind. All right. And we have Burton Bros. Could I get a reading? All right. So I'm just going to pull a card at number 2. All right, Burton Bros, that's your card for today. All right, so let's see. So I'm not getting a very clear read on this. I'm feeling like, the way that it's kind of coming in is like a love-hate relationship with either a person or a thing going on in your life. I feel like there are things that you really care about, and then there are things that you just want to totally escape from. I feel like, oh, interesting. I feel like you tend to be a very organized, planning kind of person. And I feel like this situation leaves you planless, or it wants to be more spontaneous, which is totally not your way. So I'm not sure, like in this moment, because we're running out of time, how you can find balance in that. But I feel like, either love it or hate it. But I don't feel like, or become comfortable with the spontaneity, even though it doesn't really resonate with you. Because I feel like that's what's creating the love-hate part for you. Okay. And then Ace. Man, you are getting in under the wire. Number 1, you can get a number 1. It's going to be quick because I need to wrap up because my pets are starting to go crazy. All right, and that's your card for today. Relinquit it. So Ace, what I want to say to you is stop worrying about what's going on. I feel like it's not anything that is in your control. I feel like there is an end to what is happening right now. But between now and then, there isn't anything you can do to change it or shift it. And so take a deep breath and try to at least be neutral to it, and it won't be as challenging as it's feeling right now. Okay? All righty, guys. So Burton Bro sent a tip. I love you, Burton Bro. And let's see. Ohora, I'm going to go through these really quick. Amazing, accurate reading. I had to remove gallbladder and suffering from fatty liver. And all you said is my situation. Thank you again. Love you, Ohora. And then she says, blessings to you. You're amazing. Amazing. All right. Don says, great show tonight. Very interesting. Thank you again. See you next Thursday. Will do. Burnt says, makes sense. And then Ace says, thank you. All right, guys. I stayed 1 minute past 8 just for you. So y'all should go to soulhealer.com/live and leave me a little something in that tip jar. Anyway, guys, I'm just kidding. Well, not. But anyway, until next week, I'm Dr. Rita Louise. This is Thursday Night Live. Be blessed.